Your presidency also coincided with a devastating series of natural disasters on both sides of the Tasman. How did the college and individual surgeons respond to those events?
Well, it was obviously, as you pointed out, there was a huge group of completely disparate disasters. First fires in Victoria, then floods in Queensland, earthquakes in New Zealand, and then a cyclone in North Queensland, all of which occurring in a relatively short period of time. And in each circumstance, the surgeons concerned in the area stood up remarkably. They assumed leadership positions, they managed the issues at hand, and they coped remarkably well with some very, very difficult times, either difficult times in delivering health services or difficult times for them personally as their own families and their own home bases were threatened by either floods, fire or earthquake. Where the college was going before that, although it didn't do this primarily for internal disasters, we were thinking more about it external, as we certainly have maintained a list of doctors who are disaster ready. And that's not merely putting your hand up and saying, yeah, I think I could help out. It's actually being trained, being medically fit, being psychologically fit, and being appropriately trained, i.e. having a scope of practice which is relevant for a disaster environment, so that if there were needs to deploy people from other non-disaster areas to disaster areas, the college would be able to help the local disaster planners identify those surgeons. We maintain an ongoing database for that, but in terms of the Australian and New Zealand disasters, they were well handled by the local surgeons in the areas concerned.
Were there any lessons for college practice and policy arising out of that? Has there been a greater response since those disasters?
I think there's a recognition that surgeons have a particular leadership role in relation to delivery of health services. We tend to be actively involved in the sorts of decision making that is necessary in disasters, i.e. making decisions on the balance of probabilities and not knowing definitely all that's going to happen, and making the best use of the resources that are available. So I think there have been some messages and learnings there.